CBP officers have a playbook when it comes to taking your green card away, and most green card holders walk right into this without even knowing that this playbook exists. So today, I'm going to show you the 5 tactics that CBP is using to turn a green card holder into someone who needs to fight for their status, how to identify them, and what you need to do to protect yourself when traveling. And stick around because I'm going to walk you through exactly how to prepare yourself before you take your next international trip. Okay, so here is what most green card holders do not realize. When you hand your green card to that officer in that booth, they are quietly putting you into one of 2 boxes. Box number 1 is called returning resident. This is the easy box. You end up in this box and you'll go back home and you'll be admitted through very easily. But box number 2 is called arriving alien. And if you end up in this box, then everything changes. You can be sent to secondary inspection. You can be detained, and they can actually take your green card and hold it while your case works its way through immigration court. Every other tactic I'm about to show you in this video starts working against you once you are in this box. And the scary part is that the officer will make this decision in mere seconds. Before you even hand the officer your card, an automated system has already scored you based upon your travel history, your tax records, and your past arrests, if any. The officer is reading this score. They are reading your body language. They are watching your answers, and they are deciding which box to put you in before you have even really started talking. So what pushes you into the second box? Some examples include a long trip, any criminal history, even if it's something old or something small. If your spouse and kids live in another country and not in the US with you, this is a big one. Or anything else that makes the officer think that your life is not really here in the United States. And I know some of you are hearing this and thinking, okay, but I can't control some of these things. I can't move my family here overnight. I can't make a case from 10 years ago disappear. And you're right. Some of these triggers are not going to change before your next flight. But there are things that you can do to prevent yourself from landing in this box. Every question the officer is going to ask is going to determine which box you land in. And your answers need to do one of 2 things. Number 1, they need to show that your life is here. Number 2, they need to be short. Keep them about your life here in the United States. I live in Dallas. I was visiting family, coming home. These are short, precise answers. If they ask about your family abroad, keep it simple. Yes, I have family there. I was visiting them. I live and work in Dallas. The more you talk, the more chances you give them to scrutinize your answers and ask more additional questions and follow up, and to move you from box 1 to box 2. So answer the question simply and sweetly and shortly, tell the truth, and move on. So like I said, one of the fastest ways to land in box number 2 is to spend too much time abroad. CBP uses the time that you use abroad as a mark against your intention to be a resident in the United States. And there are 2 thresholds that you need to know about. The first is the 6-month threshold. Once you have been outside of the United States for more than 180 days on a single trip, CBP is allowed to presume that you have abandoned your residency. And let me be specific about this number because people get this wrong all the time. The law counts 180 consecutive days from the day that you leave until the day that you get back. So if you were gone for 6 months and 1 day, then it means that you are already past the threshold, even if it doesn't feel like you're past 6 months. And once you cross this line, the burden flips to you. You are now the one that has to prove to CBP that you did not abandon your residence. And until you get to prove them wrong, then they get to treat you like someone who does not deserve to be a green card holder. The second threshold is 1 year. Once you have been outside the United States for 365 days or more in one consecutive trip, the presumption that you abandon your residence is much stronger and much harder to overcome. And they will treat you basically as though your green card is no longer valid for entry. Some airlines may not even let you board without proof. And if you do make it your way to a US airport, then you're likely looking at secondary inspection. And it is not always just about the length of a single trip. If you are out of the US too frequently over a period of time, then this can also land you in this box. For example, if you have been gone for 20 months out of the past 24 months, even if none of these trips were for a consecutive 365 days, nor for a consecutive 180 days, then this may also raise the presumption that you abandoned your residence. This pattern is going to be evidence that they can use against you. So what can you do? If you are planning for a trip that goes over 6 months, you need to do 2 things before you leave. Number 1, file your Form I-131 re-entry permit application before you leave. You have to file this while you are still physically in the United States. You cannot file it once you're abroad. And a re-entry permit is good for up to 2 years, and it tells CBP that you did not intend to abandon your residence, but that you intended to return home. Number 2, put together a folder of material to prove that your life is in the United States. This can include documentation such as tax returns, your leases or mortgage statements, your U.S. bank statements, a letter from your U.S. employer stating that your place of employment is here, and your kids' school records if that applies. Keep the folder with you in your carry-on in case you do end up in secondary inspection and have to prove that the U.S. is actually your home. And if you are already past a year abroad without a re-entry permit, do not just show up at the airport and hope for the best. You may end up needing a returning resident visa before you come back. Now, a returning resident visa is not a simple thing to get, and one thing that you may want to do is consult with an immigration attorney to discuss implications and a battle plan in case you are detained at the airport. In this case, make sure you talk to an immigration attorney before you book your flight and not after you land. Okay, so now let's say you get to the booth. Your papers are in order. Your time abroad was fine. Now the officer starts asking questions. This is where a lot of green card holders end up losing the fight without ever realizing that they were even in one. That is because CBP officers are trained in interview techniques. These are not random questions. They're designed to get you to talk more than you would intend. And the more you talk, the more you give them something to work with. Here are the main traps to watch out for. Number 1, friendly banter. The officer is warm, casual, and maybe even joking with you. They'll ask you how your trip was, where you went, what you did, who did you see. It may feel like small talk, but every single detail that they're gathering is actually material for them to use against you. Oh, I go back to see my parents every few months. This may sound like a casual and sweet thing to say, but to that immigration officer, it may sound like the fact that you don't actually live here. Number 2, rapid fire questions. They will ask 4 to 5 things back to back. Where were you? How long? Who did you stay with? Do they live there? Do you own property? The speed is on purpose. They are waiting for you to contradict yourself. And they may circle back later with the same questions again, but just asked in a slightly different way, just to see if your answer changes. Number 3, the long pause. You answer the question and then the officer just stays quiet and looks at you. They don't say anything, and the silence becomes long and uncomfortable. Some people get so nervous that they start filling in that silence with words instead. But this is what they want you to do and not what you should do. So don't do it. Number 4, the question of where's home? Where's home is going to sound like a simple question, but it is not. If you say home is Mumbai, because that is where you grew up, this could end up written down as she says that home is Mumbai. Suddenly, you may be fighting to explain that actually you live in and your home is in New Jersey. And if you answer this question correctly, then they may hit you up with a follow-up. So you spend most of your time there. This is a reframe. They're trying to get you to verbally agree that your real life is somewhere else. The answer is a calm correction. No, I live in Dallas, Texas. Not Mumbai. I was just visiting there. Number 5, questions about your family. If your spouse or your kids live out of the US, expect a question about this, because where your family lives is one of the biggest things they try to look at to see where your life is. If your answer is going to involve anyone living abroad, think through it before you are answering while standing at the booth. Okay, next I need to talk about the most dangerous thing that a CBP officer can put in front of you, and that is the Form I-407. And if you remember nothing else from my video, just remember this. A CBP officer does not have the power to take a green card away from you. Only an immigration judge can do that. But getting you to sign the Form I-407 is one way they can get around this. If you sign this form, then you end up voluntarily surrendering your green card and surrendering your permanent resident status. When you do this, right then and there at the airport, it becomes permanent and you cannot take it back. Your green card, your ability to live here, work here permanently, your pathway to citizenship, all gone in a poof, just because you signed this one piece of paper. And that is what makes this so dangerous. The law protects you from having your status taken, but the I-407 is one way you can do it by yourself and give it away. So how does CBP try to trick people into signing this? They make it sound like regular paperwork. They make it sound like it's just part of the process of entering the United States. They say, just sign here, we'll continue processing you. Or this is a formality if you sign this today. Or sign this and we'll let you get to your next flight. And some officers will even pressure people to sign it and say that if they don't sign it, that they will be detained. This is simply not true. Refusing to sign the Form I-407 is not a ground for deportation or for detention. Some officers have even told people that they will face a 5-year ban from the United States if they don't sign this form. This is also not true. People have sued CBP over exactly this, and the courts agreed that the officers were telling people something that was not true. So don't be fooled. And know how officers pick their targets. People who don't speak English well, people who are exhausted after a long flight, people who are scared and confused and just want to go home, and people who are alone and do not have somebody with them to help them or to protect them, or to say, wait, don't sign. The confusion is the weapon, the fear is the weapon, and if you find yourself in one of these situations, be prepared to push back. Now, here is what I want you to memorize. If a CBP officer ever puts the form I-407 in front of you, I want you to say, I am not signing this form. I want to speak with my immigration attorney. If you believe there is a problem with my case, please give me a notice to appear so I could discuss this in front of a judge. Say this calmly and clearly. And if they push back, say it again. And if they push back, which they probably will, say it again. They might act frustrated or act like they're very angry at you or make it sound like you're going to get in trouble if you don't sign, but don't fall for it. This is part of the tactic. You do not owe anyone an apology for protecting yourself and asserting your rights. They cannot force you to sign. The official rule is that if you refuse, they are supposed to issue you a notice to appear so that you can go in front of an immigration judge, which is exactly what you'll want to do in this scenario. If they take your physical green card after you refuse, ask for an I-551 stamp in your passport. That stamp is written proof that you are still a permanent resident and you are entitled to it. Now, let me talk about the one thing that catches most green card holders off guard more than anything else. CBP is allowed to search your phone without a warrant or for any reason at all. They can just ask for you to hand your phone over. Anywhere else in the country, outside of a port of entry, an officer would need a warrant in order to search your phone. But at the border, this rule does not apply. And it's not just your phone. Since January 2026, they can also go through your laptop, your tablet, your smartwatch, your flash drives, and even the system in your rental car. And this is not rare. According to CBP's own numbers, they searched over 47,000 devices at the border in 2024 alone. That number has been going up every single year, and the first half of 2025 set a new record. So what does a search actually look like? There are two kinds. The first is a basic manual search. That is where the officer picks up your phone and scrolls through it by hand. Your text, your photos, your apps, your WhatsApp, they're just going to go through it the way that they would go through anybody else's phone. And they could do this for any reason, anytime. The second one is a much more advanced search. That is where they plug your phone into forensic equipment to pull everything out of it. Even deleted messages, location history, metadata, and things that were gone can be retrieved through this method. This one does require a supervisor to approve it and some level of suspicion. But at the border, they still do not need a warrant for it. So let me be clear, because I do not want anyone watching this to get the wrong idea. You have the right to refuse to let them search your phone. But as a green card holder, refusing can come with real consequences. They can seize your device and hold it for up to 60 days. They can send you to secondary inspection. They can use the refusal itself as a reason to start asking you harder questions. And if they in fact do seize your phone, they can still retrieve the information anyway, even if you have your phone turned off. So if you're worried what they might find on your device, the best strategy is to just travel with a different phone or with no phone. A cheap prepaid phone is just what you might need for your trip. Forward your main number to the new line and leave your real phone at home. This is the safest option, and it guarantees your most important device cannot be used against you without your consent. Okay, now here's the part that I promised at the beginning. The truth is, by the time you are standing in front of that immigration officer, most of the fight is already over. What you did before you got on the plane is what decides how this goes. So let me tell you exactly what you should look for and do before going on every international trip. Number one, do a risk check before you book. Not every green card holder faces the same level of risk when they travel. If your trip is short, you have no criminal history, and your life is clearly here in the United States, you are probably fine. But if any of the things I talk about in this video might apply to you, then you should talk to an immigration attorney before you book that flight, not after you land, because an attorney cannot get through to you at the airport. Once you board, your options become a lot smaller. Number two, put together a folder that proves that your life is here. I talked about this earlier, but it matters for every trip, not just long ones. Include your most recent tax filing as a U.S. resident, your lease or mortgage, a couple of recent bank statements, a letter from your employer, or your kids' school records if that applies. You want physical copies in a folder, in your carry-on, and not in your checked bag where you cannot retrieve it. If an officer asks questions, you want to be able to hand them the proof right then and there instead of trying to explain it with words. And I want to add something here that I did not mention before. Write down your attorney's phone number and your home country's consulate phone number on a paper and put it in that same folder. If something happens at that airport, your phone could be seized. You do not want the only copy of your attorney's phone number to disappear on a device that you cannot access. Number 3, have an immigration attorney on retainer with a G28 on file. A G28 is a form that officially authorizes your attorney to speak on your behalf. If you get pulled into secondary inspection at 11 p.m. at night, you do not want to be searching for a lawyer from the holding room. You want that call to be ready and already set up. That way, if your attorney calls CBP, they can speak to them right away on your behalf. And look, I understand that not everybody can afford an attorney, but if you travel internationally, you are a green card holder and you have the risk factors that I mentioned, then it is worth the investment because you don't want to spend 20 times over to try to get your green card back. The cost of the retainer is going to be nothing compared to the cost of losing your status. Number 4, audit your social media and do it early. Go through your posts, your photos, your check-ins, anything that makes it look like your life is elsewhere or anything that's inconsistent with things that you may have said to immigration are going to be a red flag for them and cause you to be in jeopardy. Do it months before you travel because a massive cleanup right before you travel can seem suspicious. And number 5, prep your phone. Put it in airplane mode before you land, sign out of sensitive apps, switch to a passcode instead of a Face ID. And if you travel often, seriously consider traveling with a separate phone that has nothing personal on it. This is not about trying to hide things from CBP, but rather to protect your personal data from being used against you. Take these steps before you get on a plane, and customs will feel much less stressful when you travel. My name is Moumita Rahman, and I've been an immigration attorney for the past 16 years. If you'd like my help on your case, give us a call at 212-248-7907. We're based in New York and we serve clients all over the US. Now, everything I covered happens at the border, but the border is not the only place where your green card can be at risk. Right now, USCIS is watching for 10 specific mistakes that green card holders are making inside of the US. One of them can put your green card at danger even if you never travel internationally at all. I break down all the 10 mistakes in my other video. USCIS is watching for these 10 green card mistakes right now. I'll include a link to that video here. Click there and I'll see you there.